again, hope everyone is doing well. Today's video is episode 10 of the top 10 highest selling AFL rookie cards on eBay series, and this week is for the week ending the 20th of November 2022. Let's get straight into the weekly eBay sales data. The dollar value was 90,746 this week, down about 5k from last week, and the number of sales was 2,334, which was slightly up. So 90k seems to be about the plateau at the moment for AFL Select sales. So onto the list for this week. This week's going to be slightly different, adding a few more cards to try and make it a tad more interesting. So I'll be going through top 10 of the other cards and then the top 5 Optimum 2022 cards, because usually I just don't have as much to say about those ones. But before I get into the top 10, I've got 3 extra cards to look at this time, starting with Sean Burgoyne and his DPS from 2001 Authentic. This one sold for $142, and I think if you can get a draft pick signature of a 400 plus game player who's definitely going to be in the Hall of Fame at $142, it's not the worst deal. It usually sells for a lot lower than this, but I think going forward this card will have a slight appreciation. The next one, interesting one, Dale Thomas, DPS from 2006 Supreme. It's easy to forget how big a figure Dale Thomas was back in the day. He was a hugely popular player in that Collingwood team, and he really just fell off the map after the first 5 or so years of his career. But this one sold for $152. I have no idea what this card usually sells for because I don't follow it. It's not a card I'd pick up myself, but it's definitely an interesting sale. The last extra is Jack Viney, his Green Sig from 2012 Future Force. This one sold for $154. I added this one in just because this card gets no airtime whatsoever. Jack Viney is a great player, but he's not really big in the hobby, and I didn't even know he had a Sig in the 2012 release. But now onto the top 10. In 10th spot, Dustin Martin and his rookie from 2010 Champions. This one sold for $156. Like last week, this is slightly higher than the recent average, but it's not ridiculous by any stretch of the imagination. So we're going to number 9, and that is Sam Walsh and his rookie from 2019 Dominance. This one sold for $181. And in number 8, we've got Sam Walsh, the same card, and that one sold for $191. Same as the Dusty, these are very reasonable sales. It seems like $180 to $190 is the market value at the moment. I don't feel any sort of strong way about this card. I think it is a bit expensive, but then again, Walsh is one of the best prospects in the AFL at the moment, like I mentioned in the last video. Into number 7 spot, and we've got Jack Riewoldt and his DPS from 2007 Supreme. This one sold for $203. I picked this one up recently for $175, and I said that was about market value, and that shows with this sale. It was an auction, it only had one bidder, so I'd say $200 is very much market value for this card at the moment. On to number 6, we've got Nick Cox and his 2021 Supremacy Rookie out of 25. This one sold for $325. When I saw this, I was very interested to see how this has traveled over the past year. Nick Cox was one of the most hyped players from the 2020 class, and that showed because at the start of this card, when it was just released, it sold for about $1,000, and then it went back to about $800, and one didn't sell for a long time. The last one sold for $750 in May of 2022, it looks like, and now this most recent sale is all the way down at $325. So more than a 50% decrease in about 6 months in this card, which is not surprising to me whatsoever, and 2022 cards are probably going to see the same thing, especially with the Supremacy Rookie coming out, the new release coming out, which I'm very excited about actually. But yeah, this is always going to happen with those highly hyped rookies. Moving into the top 5, we've got Connor Rozee and his DPS from 2019 Dominance. Again, this is a card that sold last week, I think, so we're getting a lot of repeat items, but this one sold for $402. In number 4 spot, we've got the Dustin Martin rookie from 2010 Champions, graded BGS 9.5. This is the one from a couple weeks back that was sold, but then it didn't go through for some reason. This one has ended up selling for $509, so slightly down from $550 was the first sale, but still $509. That's a really, really big sale for this card. Moving into the top 3, Bailey Smith, his DPS from 2019 Dominance, one you don't see very often, and one just amazing looking card, one of the best DPS sets of recent memory, if not ever. and this one sold for $532. And now the top two, which is both the same card actually. We've got Trent Cotchin and his Platinum DPS from 2008 Classic. One sold for $795 and one sold for $954. So this is the release where the Platinums are out of 100. So super rare card. You definitely don't see these around at all, especially the Trent Cotchin, and these prices really reflect that. What's interesting is that the Dangerfield sells for about $350, $400 at the moment. So to me, the Dangerfield should be way more expensive than the Cotchin, but it just shows how much the effect that a popular team has on the card. And although Cotchin's not as individually great as someone like Dangerfield, he definitely is very historically relevant for the Richmond Footy Club as a captain, a premiership captain. So yeah, that's how these prices happen. But definitely affected by the scarcity, the lack of supply, and the steady demand for this card. Now we'll move into the 2022 Optimum cards. In 5th spot, we've got Neil Erasmus, Platinum DPS. This one sold for $140. In 4th spot, Jason Horne-Francis, his Gold DPS, and that sold for $142, which, I mean, it seems pretty cheap for a pick number one who may have lots of upside in the future. But I mean, I still think it's expensive in comparison to the older cards. But if I was going to buy anyone's DPS from this class, I'd probably go the Horne-Francis at this level, although I'd go the Platinum. In 3rd spot, we've got Arlo Draper, his Platinum DPS, sold for $230. 2nd, Taj Woden, Platinum DPS, sold for $260, and this was the number 1 out of 40. And finally, in the 1st spot, we've got Nick Dacos, his Copper DPS, and this one sold for $420. So this one is steadily declining from that peak when it first came out of about 600 or 650, and yeah, it's just slowly gone down from there. But that's all I've got for this week. A more matter-of-fact list, not too much commentary, but I hope you enjoyed. I'll for sure be putting out a new video talking about the 2022 Supremacy Rookie release and the implications from that, and I'll see you in that video when it comes out. Cheers.